Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Dr. Dale Laing-Hall, and I am here today to talk to you about a workshop on a book that's amazing that I have been blessed to be a part of, co-authoring Women Living Fearlessly. But before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about this entire experience with Women Changing the World Award Summit. This organization, if you don't know about Women Changing the World, Women Changing the World is an impressive, amazing organization that is simply set out to be a blessing, to put a spotlight on women all across the world, women that are making a difference in their personal life, in their professional life, at home, at work, in their communities, women that sometimes you do so much in all that you do in your life that sometimes you just go without being recognized. This organization said no more. They said no more. I am going where they're not only highlighting women that are doing amazingly in all parts of the world and in their parts of in their community, but they're also stop and they're saying, hey, let's recognize these women. Let's bring these women together. Let's put them in a room filled of energetic women that simply want to see the other do great things. And that's an amazing space to be in. I was introduced to Women Changing the World. I Earlier this year, I was nominated for an award. Earlier in the year, I became a finalist, which was like, was so excited. Because I connected with someone nominated me, and then I was selected as a finalist. I did not win, but the fact that I became a finalist, that was more than enough for me, right? So another opportunity came up, and I was nominated again, and in a couple of categories, and then I won. I won. I am a woman changing award winner, and I am very, 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 very excited and feel tremendously grateful for my award. So, with that being said, I want to extend the praise and appreciation and the just electrifying team of Women Changing the World, from Peace to Katie to Dr. Trent to the Duchess of York. Yeah, I said it, the Duchess of York. This is also part of her endeavor. So just imagine a woman, and I ask Peace late, I mean, recently, how many women is it? And it's like over 150,000 women, and that's and counting, because women are joining, and women are nominating other women, and the award it happens like 2 or 3 times per year, and it's different awards. It's the ones in America, and then they go to Africa and all parts of the world. So it's a really great organization. So I definitely encourage you to look into it, because your life will not be the same. Your life will simply not be the same. And with that being said, the workshop let's get started on the workshop. So like I said before, it's just for a short time, and let's get the information to the stage. So this is my slide, and my piece on the book Women Living Fearlessly is on my chapter is titled Significantly Seen, and it's all about seeing yourself first before you see and listen to other people, empowering yourself and empowering others. So just a little bit about this book. This book is, if you ever felt afraid, scared, not sure what to do, if you should do it, should you go for that promotion, should you do that interview, should you have that hard conversation with that boss, should you leave that relationship, should you start a new relationship, Should you go out on this date by yourself, with yourself? Should you go on this trip by yourself? If you ever had these questions and you're just scared because you never done it before, this book is for you. This book is says dream it. It says do it. It says act upon it. It says don't let fear hold you back. The it says fear holds us back from sharing our voice. It holds us back from making new friends, right? From exploring those new lands and those new adventures and those new vacations. It holds us back from just living, thriving. So trying new careers and just standing out, coming out of the shadows into the light and standing on the top of that mountain and just yelling out to every single person in this entire world, I am here. You imagine that? That's what this book is. It's a book. This book has 25 amazing women, including myself, from all across the world, sharing their dreams, their thoughts, their journeys, their experiences, and their story with you, encouraging you, letting you see how when they hit rock bottom, what it looked like, how they felt, right? And what they did to get themselves out of that. And if you are there, I don't know where you are at this point in time in your life. I don't know what journey, what part of it, I just pray that anything that I say with this workshop, that it speaks to you, that you can grasp onto something and that you can run with it. Run with it and that let it take you to the next step in your journey, because we all have a step in our journey, right? So with that being said, um, I wanted to say that this conversation is about my part of my journey and my chapter contribution. And it's about pretty much seeing yourself, owning your emotions, owning the good, bad, and different, all of it, right? And just piecing it together through the lens of emotional intelligence with a little bit of puzzles, puzzle throughout the way. All right, so let's get started. So before we get started, a little about me. I said my name, Dr. Dale Laing-Hall, and I am on a mission to change the world, reintroduce the concept of emotional intelligence and its strategies and the benefits of it in the workplace, on the people in the workplace, right? And how it helps employees to be more engaged. It reduces turnover in the workplace, and it gives the company, the organization, their profits. You can have both. Sometimes organization or leaders in the organization feel like you can't have a happy workforce or an engaged workforce and have profits at the same time, but you can. It's doable. There's a way. The data is there. It's just that you have to be consistent and you have to be willing to invest in putting in the work and putting the resources to line up with it to get the results. I have over years of experience as a human resources professional. Started out answering phones and slowly worked my way up the ladder, to mostly in the healthcare field. And then I have witnessed the detrimental lack of emotional intelligence in the workplace, on relationships, at home, um, in your personal and professional life. I have witnessed it one on one for myself, and it hurts. And you can see the void, you can see the pain, and sometimes, for example, you're in the workplace and you develop relationships with people. You have a coworker. I had so many coworkers that just decided to walk away from their job because somebody misunderstood something, clarification wasn't made, resources wasn't made available. They misunderstood, they didn't know, the communication just wasn't there, or nobody cared enough to even ask the question. for it to turn around, for the person to decide to leave. And when they decide to leave, they would, of course, I would work at the front desk, and they would talk to me, and they would see me, and they would say these things. And I was like, wait, can we just, maybe you just want to talk to this administrator. And at that point in time, it was too late, because the decision in their minds was already made up. There was the point of no return had already passed, right? But nobody stopped, cared enough to ask the questions, the hard questions, right? And this led me, having all these years of experience in human resources led me to start to complete my doctoral degree, doctor in business administration, where I focus my research on emotional intelligence, right? And I decided to start my own agent, my own company, Dale Reports. And it's HR consulting and leadership development around the lens of emotional intelligence. My latest the latest addition to Dale Reports is I started also my very own podcast called A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. It was previously called Pulse Check, but I just rebranded recently, and now it's called A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. So you can follow me, and you'll be able to hear all the stories about the workplace and how we can be better leaders, from leadership skills to conflict resolution to relationship advice to mental health to psychological safety, all of it, right? Some personal truths about me. I was born and raised in Roatán, Honduras, and yes, very much fluent in Spanish. Where I am, if there are people around that know me, they would know me first by my laugh, because I laugh pretty loud. And my husband has defined me as my husband and my this is the picture here of my mom and my husband. They are my greatest teacher, and one of the closest people to me, and I cannot see my life without them. So that's why you have them there. I am the last daughter of my mother, the last of seven, and she cannot live without me, and I cannot live without her. I am forever a personal truth about me. I am forever a student of life. I'm always learning. I'm always, 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 always reading something. Always, always, always researching something, a book, a training. I'm always, because that's always been a part of my DNA. My family has always invested and made sure that my sister and myself got the education that we need, and that we stay ahead as best as we can. And education is very near and dear to me and a part of my life. I love, love, love to meditate. I love discussing all things emotional intelligence and learning from other people and their stories, right? Because their stories, I learn from people as much as I do a lot of coaching and trainings and stuff. I learn so much from hearing other people's story and how they are pursuing and pushing through no matter what. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Emotional intelligence, also known as emotional quotient or EI, emotional intelligence. Just a little definition on it is the ability to be able to understand, use, manage your own emotions, as well as the emotions of those, influence the emotions of those around you, right? What does that mean? What do you mean by that? It's pretty much being savvy, being smart with your emotions, being able to know and know your emotion that you're feeling at that particular time. You're sad, you're hungry, you're angry, you're happy, you're joyous, you're frustrated. Being able to pinpoint what that emotion is, and then um regulating it, right? What do you do with that information? Emotional intelligence has 5 components, usually 5. Sometimes they are grouped into 4 or 3. Self-awareness, knowing your own emotions and how they affect your thoughts and your actions. This is my favorite, because nothing happens in your life that doesn't start with you and ends with you. I love self awareness because who am I? What do I like? Who am I not? Why don't I like that? Why did that trigger me? Why am I yelling at him about something that I don't even care about? It allows you to ask yourself these questions that you probably think about, but you don't actually answer, right? Self-regulation, it says being able to control your emotion, especially in tough situations. Especially in tough situations. Somebody's yelling at you. Are you gonna go and yell back at them, or get frustrated and get your body out of whack? Or should, like some people say, get out of character? No, you're going to be savvy and wise with your emotions and calm yourself down. Do things to soothe yourself. So I know someone that when they're in meetings with their manager or with other leaders, they have like a little stress ball thing in their hand, right? They have like a little stress ball thing in their hand, and it calms them down because they're squeezing it, and the anxiousness that they're feeling in their body when they're in that meeting with their manager, they're this squeezing of this stress ball, it helps them. What it is that helps you, right? Motivation, what drives you to work toward your goals and keep going. You have to have goals. You have to have something that inspire you to keep going. What is your why? Why do you get up every day? Oh, to pay bills. No, beyond paying the bills. Oh, to take care of my family. So that what? Right? There's more there. Empathy, understanding and caring about how others feel. Your point of view is not the only point of view that matters. So being able to know when you have your say, and being able to see other people say as well. And then social skills, communicating well with others, and then building that rapport, building that strength. Being able to, if you're in a workplace and nobody wants to work with you, that says a lot. That says a lot. I used to work with this CFO that her department, people would leave that department, leave. It was like a revolving door. Is that you? Are you one of those people that people are constantly leaving you? That should tell you something. There's something there that you need to pay attention to, and you need to go deep, skin deep. And it's not all about getting your feelings hurt. That's what emotional intelligence says. It says, don't get defensive, offensive. Open the door and let's look at that. Let's go through that door together. Let me hold your hand through this process. Let me show you that it's not about pointing out your weaknesses, but it's about realizing where your weaknesses are not helping you and it's causing more hurt than help to the relationships that you have in your life, if that makes sense. So we said we're going to use some puzzles, right? So let's go with the puzzles to kind of explain this to you guys and give you guys examples from my life. So life is much like a puzzle, right? Each experience is a puzzle piece. Some are bright and beautiful. Others, not so much, right? So others, not so much. So sometimes we want to only hang on to and look at the beautiful things that we went through, the beautiful experiences, all the great things that has happened to us, but we don't want to talk about the ones that we weren't our best, right? We don't want to talk about them. Why not? They're also a part of who we are. Are we only going to accept the positive things, the stuff that makes us look good? How about the areas that we could have improved in? Areas that I didn't act my best in that situation, and I really wish I have done better, but I didn't know what I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So educate yourself, train yourself, get a coach, get a mentor, right? Go to therapy, whatever it is that you need to do to be a better version of yourself. And that's what I did, right? And that's part of my journey. So the completed picture. What most people know about me is the image of the complete puzzle, right? The puzzle is complete, is done. I'm here today. I have written a book Dale Reports, Emotions and You, and now I'm co-authoring a book with Women Changing the World, Women Living Fearlessly. I have completed my doctoral degree. I have done, which led me to have over these thousands and thousands of hours completing this degree. I was a chief human resources officer, in a mental health space. I have plus 15 years in the HR field. I have, now that I've done started my entrepreneur business, small business, since last year, going on 2 years, I have, a good decent amount of global following. I purchased my very first house. Dale Reports, Emotions and You, and I'm an award winner of Women Changing the World. So, this is what you see. This is what others see this is what they know about me. This is what they see. But things weren't always that way. Every puzzle has a hidden piece. What's your hidden piece? What you see now, present day picture, but there were hidden pieces, difficult to fit into place. What are your hidden pieces that you are still grappling on? Where does it go? Where does it go in this part, in this space? And that's where self-awareness comes into play, right? Self-awareness, it's allowing you to like figure out, no, I don't like that. No, I do like that. Why did I let him talk to me like that? Man, my self-worth, myself, my value for myself, my confidence, all that. I thought I was a strong person, but am I that strong? So all of these questions, why did I allow him to say, why did she say that to me? And why did I allowed all of these things in my life? Is not what people did to you, is what you did, is what they did with what they did to you. Because people do things. Now, what did you allow? That first, now that they've done that to you, what are you going to allow? What are you going to do now with what they did to you? Right? The odd pieces. At age 15, I felt like an odd puzzle that did not belong. So this is a little bit of my story. I was probably, 14, 15. And imagine I was in ninth grade and I had got up early, getting ready to go to school. I used to catch the cheese bus, and everybody that know about the cheese bus knows about the cheese bus. But the cheese bus is the yellow bus that would come and pick up the students to take them to school, right? And caught the cheese bus. I'm in the bus. I'm trying to find a seat, and I see the boy that I like. And my emotions are high. I'm trying to figure out, should I sit by him? Am I just gonna pretend and not sit by him? And or everybody knows, I mean, it wasn't no secret. There's other students in the bus, and I go and I sit down by the crush. And that must have needed to happen or something, because that part of that interaction was a pivotal moment for me. He said, and I quote, I don't know what was the trigger, what was the conversation, but he said, I could not be with someone like you. Your hair is too short. Your skin is too black. Devastating, right? Yeah. Yeah. Devastating. So, because of that moment, that time, that comment, I never forget it. And it marked it took me down a path that I didn't realize at the time until like years later, right? It left me feeling out of place, like I didn't fit in. I shut down emotionally. I was bankrupting myself emotionally, and I bankrupt every other relationship in my life since that. I did not give them the time, I did not give them the energy and the space and to understand and to connect as much. And then it led me into even trusting more people that I shouldn't have trust, because I was just looking for approval, looking for validation where I should not have. So it just sent me down a path that it wasn't good, right? And I was missing a piece of me. I was missing my self awareness. And I did not get that until good into my early 30s, mid 30s. Struggling to find my place. I struggled to understand how this painful piece fit into my life. I did not want to talk about nothing bad, nothing negative. I made so much mistakes from, being in the workplace, as you start to become a manager. I was micromanaging people, like, which is the worst. I was creating spaces and places that didn't foster care, that did not foster engagement or a healthy work environment. Not even going to talk about personally. Like, I was right. All of the relationships that I had in my life, I was right all the time. You could not tell me anything. I looked down on other people. I criticized other people. It was always everybody else's fault and never ever my fault. Never ever, right? And that could have been the case, but I did not ascribe any responsibility to myself at all. So, what are you not ascribing responsibility to? Who are you not ascribing responsibility to? Is it everybody else's fault and not yours? You have to have your part in it. Everybody has their part in it. What's yours? They said it's always, when you point a finger at someone, there's always four pointing back, and that's a real thing. Four fingers are pointing back at you. In that particular situation, what is your ownership? What are you going to own? Because there's a part of you that you need to own something in it, right? You have to. Because it's two people in a relationship, whether it's a work relationship, a church relationship, a husband, boyfriend, a father, mother, daughter. There's two people in that relationship, or three people in that, whatever the setup is, right? How this person's responsibility was what they said, what they did. What did you say and what did you do to contribute to their reaction, to their response? So there's a definition out there about emotional intelligence that says, if you can feel what you feel, if you can know what you know, and not get overwhelmed, enraged, and tear apart yourself or other people, then you are doing the right thing. In other words, if whatever's going on with you at this point in time, whatever the situation is, feel that emotion of whatever that situation is causing. Like, sometimes you have guilt, right? Let's go with guilt. Guilt, you have that guilt. Can you have that guilt and not beat down so hard on yourself that you're not giving yourself any self-care and not giving yourself any love through that process? Emotional intelligence says, okay, you're feeling guilty. You're feeling guilty because you lied to him or to her. Okay, you should feel guilty. So what are you going to do about that guilt? Are you going to wallow in it? Ignore it? Blame other people? Are you going to emotional intelligence says own it. Dr. Dale says own it. Significantly see yourself. Own it. And says, okay, I do feel that guilt, but I'm not going to wallow in that guilt. I'm going to do something about that guilt. Yeah, I shouldn't have lied to him or to her. I'm going to go tell him the truth. So you do something with that guilt and go tell him the truth. And you go and you tell him that truth. And you apologize. Because that's your part in it. You lied. You shouldn't have lied. Whatever reason, you shouldn't have lied. Right? And you went and you talk to him and you tell him the truth and you apologize and you own your part in it. What happens to that guilt? Sometimes, depending on what the situation is, it dissipates like that, especially if the person quickly forgives you, accepts you, loves you in spite of it, and moves on. If it's not the case, you feel better because you have spoken up and you told the truth. Now you don't have guilt. Now you simply have, I have an action, a behavior, or something that I did that I regret, but I rectified the situation. I owned my part. I went and I stood and owned my responsibility in it. And I've spoke my piece, and the person doesn't forgive me, but there's nothing I can do about that. I am human. People do make mistakes. It's not something that I plan on doing again. So I'm going to have to, with time, let this go and move on because I've done all I could do in this situation. You see the difference? You see the difference? Because if that's you owning it in spite of what the outcome looks like, right? And if, let's say, if you did have that guilt and you didn't have emotional intelligence to be able to help you through that process, what happens is that you sit with that guilt. Most people ignore the guilt. They pretend it doesn't exist, and it just packs on guilt, and then guilt turns into frustration turns into taking out your anger on someone else, yelling at someone else, and it just packs on. So imagine years of guilt packed onto one thing after another, guilt on top of guilt, lies on top of lies, and just not taking that accountability and that ownership. All of that stuff adds up. There's a book out there called um, The Body Keeps Score. The author, I think, has a really long name, Kessler. And The Body Keeps Score, and he talks about if you don't address all of the emotions that your body goes through on a over the years, and so think about it, every time you get angry you tense up, and if you pay attention to your body when you get angry, your breathing, it gets shallow, like you're holding in your breath a lot longer than if you were just at a base level, at a reset level, right? So you're not breathing in and out as much as you should be, because you are angry, so you're holding your breath for whatever problem you're going through, or whatever that argument is at that point in time. So your body is tensed up. And there's research shows there's good stress and bad stress, right? And that constant frustration and always angry and always yelling and always just mad and vexed, that is you are sending that emotion is trapped. All of those emotions are trapped in your body, and you are not letting them out. They need to be let out, which is why I said my friend, when he's in his job and he's meetings and stuff, to let out his stress, he's doing something with his body. He's squeezing this because you're going through anxiousness and you're having discussions, and especially if they're heated really triggered, then you have to like let that emotion out somehow. That's why another reason why exercising works, right? Why people exercise, because it helps with stress, managing it, right? Yoga, meditation, anything you do with your body, stuff that you people do, gardening, they people go cook, they recipes, they people bake. Like, you have to do something with that body and let that emotion that you felt throughout the day out somewhere somehow. You have to, right? And if you don't, then what happens is that it gets trapped in here. And of course, you see where research shows years later, people end up with all of these, you know, heart attacks and high blood pressure, and because they're holding on to grudges and unforgiveness and just so much pain, so much pain. And you go to therapy, and the therapist, one of the first things they're going to tell you is you got to talk about what's bothering you. And when you talk about it, you put it out into the open. And not until you address that gap of where you are to where you want to be, that healed version of you, you're going to continue to have these issues. And that's what I had to do with what I went through with that experience, with that, my crush. I had to deal with that hurt me. I didn't want to realize, because I thought it was hard. I was like tough. I'm like, I don't care. Da 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 da. Even though I went home and boo-hoo cried, right? Um, but I had to I had to like I had to own what I was feeling at the time. I had to go back and think about all the things that I just held on to, and all these people and expectations that I put on people that they didn't even know. Right? Who is it that you're holding in your mind, not forgiving them, and they don't even know it? Who is it that you're doing that to? It's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair to your kids, because you are taking out your frustration on somebody. I don't care what you're doing, you're taking it out on somebody. The question is, who? And how long are that person or those people are going to stick around until they call you out on your own, on the stuff that you're doing. And then you're going to be alone. I worked so many years in nursing homes, and I've never seen an elderly on their dying bed. I've so many of them on their dying bed, and not having relationship with their family. They always regretted that, with their son, with their daughter, you know not being able to go back, and they're like, I don't even remember. There was this older lady, she's like, I don't even remember why I don't talk to my son anymore. I haven't seen him in 15 years. Who is it that you're holding, and is it worth it? You tell me. So, finding where it fits, I had to learn that even the most challenging piece of my experience, of my journey, it was important. It was essential. It was about finding how these pieces fit together, right? And fit into the grand design of my life. I had to own it, right? I had to stand on my story and not in my story. I had to stand on top of my story and to own my story. And that way nobody can come back and throw anything in your face, because you're like, yeah, I lied about that. Yeah, I was fired from that job. Yeah, and they probably had right to fire me because I wasn't doing the job. Like, it's okay. Own it. It's done. It's over. It's in the past, right? Through emotional growth, I started to connect the process. I started to connect to people. I started to do trainings. I started to read books. I started therapy, like all of this stuff. I started journaling, meditating, dancing a lot more because I love dancing. I started to do all these things that really spoke to my true inner self voice that I had on the inside of me, that sometimes, I mean, I didn't know that I had in there, right? There's a quote out there that says, of all the knowledge you will attain in your life, in your lifetime, knowing yourself is your greatest achievement. Knowing yourself is your greatest achievement. So I love this quote by Mahatma Gandhi. Love it, love it, love it, because it speaks to you. It says, keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. So go with me on this for a little bit. Your thoughts turn into words. You think about, I don't like this job, or I don't want to, whatever it is. I don't want to, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. It's a thought. And you know how many thoughts we have throughout the day on a typical day? Like thousands and thousands of thoughts. It's over 8,000 or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly right now. So your thoughts become your words. So you have your thought and then you start speaking. Yeah? And then your words become your behavior. You start acting out the words that you're saying. So you start acting, I don't want to be in this relationship no more. So you stop spending time with the person in the relationship because you don't want to be there. So you start, I don't want to spend time with them anymore. So you're not spending time with them anymore. Then your behavior, it says keep your behaviors positive because they turn into your habits. So now it's not just a one-time thing that you didn't spend time with them. Now it's a way of life. It's who you are. You're going 3 years on not spending time with this person because thoughts, words, behavior, habit. Now your habits turn into your values. Now, did you tell this person? So you're lying to them. You're lying to yourself by staying in the relationship and you're pretending, right? So I'm sorry to tell you, but that's who you are because now you're not being real. You're not being honest with this person and yourself. So that becomes a part of who your values, because your values, who you are changes, right? Your values, your work ethic, what you stand for, your goals, those things change. So for these past 3 years in that relationship, you have not been completely honest, and that has been part of your values now, right? And lastly, your values become your destiny. So when you look back on it 3 years later and you wonder, man, how did I get here? Why am I looking at this person and I don't feel like I know them anymore? Because you decided with a thought years, months ago, that you were not invested in that relationship anymore. So it didn't happen from one day to the next. You cultivated the space for it and it happened. So think about it this way. You are a ripple, a drop in the water. That's how important you are. So it's vital that we as human beings, emotional intelligence say, you are so important that it's vital for you to not ignore you, because your ripple can create a huge impact, right? You don't know what that drop is going to go. So when you interact with people, you are leaving part of yourself with them. They're going to remember you. How do you want people to remember your conversations with them? When you are not in the room, what do you want people to say about you? Piecing it all together. So over time, each experience added another piece, another years of experience. I kept on adding and just piecing it together and say, you know what? This is who I am now. This is a part of my journey. I'm going to own it. I'm going to walk in it, and I'm going to slowly heal. It's not going to be something that happens overnight, because who I became at that time, it didn't happen overnight. It became over years of habit, right? So even the difficult, oddly shaped pieces contributed to my whole picture, right? So my journey has been about embracing every piece of my story. A beautiful, complex puzzle. That's who you are. That's who I am. We are perfectly imperfect. Now, I see how every piece, every success, every setback creates a complete picture, right? You see how it can complete your entire picture, but through the lens of EQ. EQ helps you, right? EQ tells you you do not have to sit here in a pity party. You do not have to be a victim anymore. You can be yourself in all of your glory, right? And love yourself. Your life puzzle is a blend of all experiences fitting together to form a unique, beautiful piece. When you finally know who you are and who you are not, you become this beautiful puzzle piece that you don't like. And once you have it, you don't want nobody to mess it up. You don't want nobody to mess with your peace, with your authenticity, and you're showing up as that best version of yourself every single day. You're loving on yourself, you're loving on other people. You have boundaries. Boundaries is something that is real for you now. Now you don't have to sit there and have somebody talk to you in that way. You can respectfully, with a smile, tell them no. No, thank you. I'm not going to be here and sit here and allow you to talk to me in that way. When you are ready to have an adult, professional, respectful conversation, then you can reach out to me on time leaving this conversation, right? You can say that now, right? You didn't know who you were before. Now you do. So you're owning it. Your puzzle pieces. We all have puzzle pieces in our lives. Some easy to place, others hard to fit, right? That's where the not so positive experiences come in. And I'm saying now, I don't think of problems and setbacks in life as problems. I see them as, you know, beautiful moments, teachable moments, bringing us closer to who we are, giving us another piece of who we are that we did not know. Right? The person that I was yesterday is nowhere near the person I am today. The same with you, because you're always changing. You should always be changing, right? You don't want to be a stagnant water. It stinks. You want to be a thriving, overflowing valley, right? Where it's constantly getting fresh water. It's constantly getting stuff poured in. It's constantly refreshing and overturning and changing and moving, right? Embrace every piece of your journey. They all contribute to your masterpiece. Emotional intelligence is the key to understanding how these pieces fit together, right? So your attitude, it gives you conflict resolution. It allows you to be a leader with empathy, a leader with vulnerability. It's okay to stand in your story. And yeah, it may not be pretty, but you know what? It's your story, right? And who cares about what anybody else think about it? You're speaking honestly and you're speaking authentically, and people will relate and gravitate to that. And that's why we're here, to make a positive impact on our fellow men, right? So build your puzzle piece. Take each piece of your life, good, bad, and indifferent, and see how they can form your unique story. Through the eyes of emotional intelligence, learn to fit every one of your pieces into that grand puzzle of who you are, because it will make a change and it will stand and it will back you. Your story is your story and nobody else can take it away from you. That's it. It's your story. So thank you for listening. I said it was going to be short, but somehow it ended up being more than I was planning for, like 40 minutes, but here we are. Each of us is a beautiful puzzle piece formed by our experiences. Thank you for letting me share just a piece of my story and how I pieced it together through the eyes and lens of emotional intelligence. So I challenge you now to go do yours. Piece together your journey with emotional intelligence, because your journey is your masterpiece. So I hope something that I've said here, that I've discussed in this workshop, has helped you one way, shape, or form, and that it adds to your story, because your story is not finished. It just got started. The point that you're at right now is the next chapter. What will you say in that next chapter? The new year is coming, 2025. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? What do you want? Create that right now. It starts now. And it starts with you leaning into your weaknesses and your strengths. I am here as a resource. My name is Dr. Dale Laing-Hall. My company is called dalereports.com. That's my phone number. Feel free to text and reach out. That's my email, dale@dalereports.com. And maybe, my leadership development, my coaching, my training around emotional intelligence can be something that you start with. And definitely, definitely give Women Changing the World a view, because they are making an impact, just like I am carving out just a piece of that in my neck of the woods. And it's time for you to do the same in your neck of the woods, because again, your journey is your masterpiece. So thank you for listening. Bye.